Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam
Okay.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I am welcoming everyone to the sixth research talk. For me personally, this program is the most wanted programs. Yeah, of the programs held by the International Office of Untirta, because from this program we can meet a lot of researchers and learn a lot of research topic from various research field. And for your information, International Office of Untirta has various programs such as short course series program, talent scouting program, webinar program, and research talk is one of the programs. Yeah, and research talk itself is a program which is designed for researchers from various fields to disseminate their research with publics. And And for today we have Robi Zidni PhD. Oh yeah, firstly congratulations for the PhD Pak Robi Zidni.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bu Dina.
Actually Pak Robi Zidni is teman seperjuangan ya.
Yes,
Bahasa
we are the
Indonesia.
same.
Yeah, we are from the same cohort of CPNS ya, Pak Robi Zidni. So how are you today, Pak Robi?
Yes, I'm feeling good, but it's a little bit nervous actually.
Okay, yeah. And congratulations also, yeah, because Pak Robi Zidni just celebrated his 32 birthday, right? So,
You're very young.
Yeah.
Much younger than
us, yeah, Pak. Pak Robi just celebrated his 32 birthday on 15 August, yeah?
Yes,
so,
15 August.
yeah, from his CV, but later I'm going to read the CV later on, yeah? In this sixth research talk, Pak Robi Zidni is going to deliver his research about education for sustainable development in science and chemistry educations and implementations in Indonesia. But before we move on to the presentation sessions, I would like to firstly read in brief the curriculum vitae or bio from Bapak Doctor, yeah, PhD, Robi Zidni PhD, yeah. Pak Robi Zidni was born in Pandeglang in 1989, yeah, August 15. He lives at Permata Banjar Asri, Block A16, number 2, Kota Serang. So if you need his contact number, you can reach him in 857 200 84 okay. And Pak Robi Zidni completed his bachelor on chemistry education from Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia and his master from Institut Teknologi Bandung and Doctor of Chemistry Didactics from University of Bremen, Germany. Okay, and if I read achievements from Bapak Robi Zidni, a lot of, yeah. So I'm going only to mention only one, okay, the current one. He's an awardee of Bremen Idea Research Project funding in 2021. And from publications and research in 2020 and 2021, there are 4 research, yeah, that you conducted with colleagues, yeah, some colleagues and also your supervisor, I guess, yeah. And the current one is a case study on students' applications on chemical concept and use of arguments in teaching and the sustainability-oriented chemistry issues of pesticides used under inclusions of different scientific worldviews. Actually, yeah, this topic is not my field, yeah, but I am very excited to listen and also have a discussion with Pak Robi Zidni in these issues. Okay, Pak Robi Zidni, yeah, the screen is yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Bu Dina. Maybe I should share my screen first. Okay. Can you see my presentation?
It's very clear.
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thanks to Budina and other member of International Office of Untirta for providing me the time to present my research. The topic is about education for sustainable development in science and chemistry education, which is the main topic that include in my doctoral research in Germany. So this is the outline of my presentation today. I would like to introduce about the chemistry and science curriculum development during 1915 until present, and then we move to the concept of education for sustainable development, especially in science education. And I would like to introduce about the model, the frameworks, and also the implementation of ESD in science and chemistry education. And maybe I will try to portray about the research of ESD in chemistry education in Indonesia. Maybe at first, I would like to introduce how the chemistry and science curriculum was developed in since 1915 until present. So during the late of 1950s and early 1960s, we call this era is the Sputnik era. Maybe you familiar with the Sputnik. It's mean the space the space station in Russia, yeah, Russia. So the Sputnik era is such education reform was initiated in the USA, which is then followed in many countries like United Kingdom, Israel, and Germany. And this period was fondly called the golden age of curriculum because during this period, many curriculum projects were developed and implemented in the science for all age range group. And the main focus of this curriculum movement was to enhance the student achievement when learning science. And the main objective is to produce more scientists, more medical doctors, and more engineers. Because at that time, the world really needs more scientists like doctor or engineers. And in the late 1980s to 1970s, there is such an approach was only relevant for a small portion of students because more focused on the to produce like a scientist, but it is not relevant for all of the students who want to achieve another field of education, like they want to pursue another career like a politician or something like that. So there is an idea about the scientific literacy for all. So this curriculum emphasize on the how to teach the student to participate in all of aspect in the everyday life, which is connected the everyday life situation with how to connected the everyday life situation within the science itself. So but in 1980s, there was many crises in science education because the number of the students who want to continue their study in science was decreased. So this is the years of crisis in science education. So to cope with this problem, the government around the world try to develop another approach. They call it STS, or science and scientific and technology literacy for all. And from this movement in 1990s to date, there are many projects that implement the implication of science and chemistry education in everyday life, like the program of chemistry in context, which is try to connect chemistry with the context like how to produce plastic and something like that. And the second movement from 1980s until present, we try to more connect the science or chemistry not only with the everyday life situation, but also it should connect with the socio-scientific issue or sustainability issue that has been faced by the world, like the climate change, the water pollution, or something like that. So this curriculum movement is intended to develop the important skill to achieve the goal of education for sustainable development around the world. So that is the main picture of the chemistry and science curriculum development around the world. And then how this curriculum development impact the chemistry education. So as you can see in this slide, maybe most of the student or chemistry teacher must be familiar with this diagram. We call it Johnstone triangle or segitiga Johnstone. Yeah. So basically, this diagram illustrates the connection between the three main core subject matter between the macro, submicro, and symbolic words. It means that the chemistry must be study about the macro word. For example, if we want to study about the water, we see the physical properties of the water and the water, the physical and the physical properties, and then we see the water, and the submicro aspect. We can learn about the molecule of water consists of hydrogen and oxygen atoms, and then from the symbolic word, we should use a symbolic pattern or written to write the symbol of water with H2O, something like that. And then because of the need more inclusion of the participation of chemistry education in society, there is a movement from this triangle to this, we call it tetrahedron, yes. Within the inclusion of the humanistic approach, it means that when we learn about science or chemistry, we should also consider about the humanistic approach that we want to include in the science and chemistry education. The chemistry lesson nowadays is not only learn about the facts, theories, or concepts or content of chemistry, but we also should include about the application of science and chemistry in the society, how the chemistry can be evaluated when we deal with the problem in the society. For example, with the knowledge of chemistry, we can make polymer or plastic, but we should also think how to recycle or how to minimize the effect or the impact of the plastic pollution toward the environment. So it means that behind the chemistry itself, we should consider another aspect that can be impact environment, society, and also economy in the environment. So within this framework, there is some defining aspect, including the applied chemistry, which is to introduce chemistry education within the human element by focusing on everyday life issue and the current application of chemistry. And then the second level is socio-chemistry, which is the teaching chemistry include the approach to evaluate and develop the use of chemistry knowledge, practice, and products, as well as to understanding of the socio-cultural embeddedness of scientific work and ideas. And the higher level is critical reflexive chemistry, which engages students in a reflective analysis of history, philosophical, sociological, and also about the cultural aspect. which should be included in the chemistry and science education. So it's mean that it is not enough if you want to teach about science or chemistry education in the class only to teach about the theory and facts or concept. We should also include the aspect of the historical, philosophical, sociological, and also the cultural perspective of the student or teacher in a particular society. And then the next discussion is what is the connection between chemistry lesson and ESD? We can start with the concept of ESD. So ESD is actually part of the 70 programs of Sustainable Development Goals that has been launched by UNESCO. So UNESCO, as you can see in this picture, the main focus is in the number 4. It is about the quality of education. So education for sustainable development empowers people to change the way they think and work toward a sustainable future. It means that when we teach about science and chemistry to the student, so encourage them to think about the effect of the science and chemistry to the present time and to the future time. For example, like I already mentioned earlier, maybe the student know that the plastic can be made from the hydrocarbon, from the concept of chemistry. But do they think about the future impact if we use more plastic when we maybe try to go to the grocery or something like that? And then how the effect of the plastic pollution toward the oceans, as you can hear before, maybe you know about the microplastic pollution or something like that. It's also become a discussion in the chemistry learning if we want to teach the student about ESD in science education. So within this framework, this research is trying to connect the education for sustainable development that can be learned in chemistry and science education development by integrating the issue or the socio-scientific issue or sustainability issue about the climate change, biodiversity, the pollution, or another issue that connected with science and chemistry education. And as maybe you already know before that ESD movement was started in European and Western country. And maybe I could mention that the best implementation of ESD is in Germany. Maybe you can see some picture in this slide. Yes, as you can see, the German government have a very strict regulation regarding the trash sorting. As you can see, this picture there is glass, paper, and verpackung. This means that all of the citizen in the Germany should recycle their trash in their home. So we try to sort some trash very small. It means like another component of trash, and glass is mean the glass trash. Paper is mean the paper, and verpackung is mean it is like something like bottle or something like that. Yes, and in the bottom picture, as you can see, maybe the student who study in Germany or the people who has visited Germany may be familiar with this symbol of bottle. We call it for fun. For fun is mean that if we buy mineral water in a bottle, so we can take the bottle to the shop like Edeka or something like that, and we can change this bottle with some money. So it is really a good regulation that encourage people to collect the bottle and to store it in the shop, and it will be recycled by the companies. So I call it the power of mulung botol. It means that when we don't have money, we can collect the money by collecting some bottle grocery. And there are a lot of example of the practice of sustainability in Germany. For example, you can see in the box, this is a zoo per sentence. It means that to give away. So this is like a culture in Germany that if we want to, if we don't use like a thing, we can give it away by to other people by placing it in front of the house, and other people can collect it freely. So and it is very interesting that when I was in Germany, I also get a free bicycle. So some people throw away the bicycle in front of the house, and we can collect the bicycle and other things. And then I try to discuss about the concept of green and sustainable chemistry and ESD, because actually the concern of chemistry towards the environment actually has been introduced in the concept of green chemistry in the past. However, the understanding of the chemistry and technology behind chemical and industry development is not enough to justify the role of chemistry education within ESD. So we move forward that the chemistry not only to teach about green chemistry, but also we should more include about the society-oriented or the sustainability issue in the society within the framework of the chemistry and science education. In this framework, we truly we need a more extra solve which is needed to achieve this goal. With this edition, education become the most prominent field for learning about how chemistry is embedded in our life and society, including the aspect of economy, ecology, and societal impact, which is this is the three main pillars that we should include when we want to teach ESD in science or chemistry education. So what is the implication of ESD in chemistry education? So if we want to teach the student about ESD in science and chemistry education, it should therefore be interdisciplinary and holistic. This means that the entire chemistry curriculum not be presented in a separate topic, but it should be interdisciplinary. For example, if we want to learn about the chemistry about the plastic, we also should learn about how to stop the plastic pollution in the environment. So it's need another aspect of science discipline that should be included in chemistry education. And the second is to become value driven, which is we should include the ethical values and principle that underpin the sustainable development that should be accepted as the guiding principle of the chemistry education. So, and then we should promote the critical thinking and problem solving by addressing and understanding the dilemmas and the challenge of sustainable development. Like I already mentioned before, we should address case-based teaching when we introduce a socio-scientific issue or a question that can encourage students to think about it and to give their arguments about this issue. For example, do we need a plastic bag for shopping or something like that? Do we need to use synthetic pesticides, or maybe do we need to use biodiesel, because the biodiesel issue is now become the concern in Indonesia, as you know that maybe biodiesel is good for the Indonesian economy, but when we see the effect of the deforestation, when the government cut the trees in the Kalimantan to produce the biodiesel, it's also become the concern in the environment, how we can the forest in Kalimantan. So this problem is not already solved problem that we want to introduce to students, so they can critically thinking about this problem. And the next is it should be based on multidimensional method. It means that when we want to teach the concept of ESD in science and chemistry teaching, we should use various methods, not like a common method like expository or classical method, but we can include the method like arts, drama, the debate, or even like role playing, who become like a member of the parliament or something like that, who debate about the issue, also can be included in the science or chemistry lessons. And it should also involve the participatory decision making. It means that we should ask the student to think together to solve the problem and to give their opinion about the problem, how they face the problem, and how they cope with this challenge to be able to participate in democratic situation. And the last one is to focus on applicability and achieve the local relevance. It means that the issue that we want to discuss in the chemistry learning, it should be come from the local issue, like I already mentioned before, like about biodiesel, or maybe the use of pesticides in the agriculture or something like that, because we are really close with the agriculture production and other issue. And this means also include the aspect of cultural that we want to integrate in the ESD in science and chemistry education. And how to implement the concept of ESD in science and chemistry education. Actually, there are some models that we can adopt if you want to integrate ESD in science and chemistry education. The first model is adopting the green chemistry principle to the practice of science education lab work. It means that we should create like a lesson that giving the student hands-on activity in the lab, which is use the principle of green chemistry within the laboratory techniques. And the second model is by adding the sustainability strategy as the content in chemistry education. It means that we give the student the concept about sustainability strategy when we want to teach about chemistry. And the third model is using controversial sustainability issue or socio-scientific issue which drive chemistry education, which I already mentioned before. When we want to learn about the concept of maybe hydrocarbon, we can start from the issue of the plastic, and then the student can learn the evaluation about the plastic and the chemistry behind this issue. And the last model is chemistry education as part of ESD-driven school development. Actually, when I look at this model is actually close to our institution vision and mission, which is green and smart campus, which is Untirta would like to integrate the aspect of green campus. So it is should be included not only in the curriculum, but also should be include the participant from include the other people like from the staff, the teacher, the student, and also all of academic staff in Untirta to include in this program. And this is the framework how to include the model 3. I want to try to more explore about the model 3 when we use the controversial issue of sustainability issue in chemistry education. So there are some concepts that we should consider. The first is the objective of the lesson, and the second one is the criteria for selecting the issue or approach. So the objective of the lesson should be multidimensional, promoting evaluation, promotion skill, and promotion of communication skill and learning science. And the criteria, if you want to choose the issue, the issue should be authentic, it means that the issue is currently maybe published in some media, in news or something like that, and the issue should be relevant with the student everyday life, and it's also allows for open discussion, and it should be deal with the question from the chemistry and technology. And we use the methods in this teaching is not only to use the mainstream method, but we can use like the student-oriented chemistry learning lab work or cooperative learning or using structuring controversial debating or something like that. But the common method that we use is using we provoking the student with the sustainability issue with a question that they have to solve this question. Yeah. And also we should consider about the structure of the lesson plan that we want to create. The first is using textual approach and problem analysis, and after that we should clarifying the chemistry background in the lab environment, and then after that we can resume the social scientific dimension, and the next we discuss and evaluate the different point of view, and the last one is the meta reflection. Maybe I would like to show some of the example of ESD implementation in chemistry. As you can see, I get this from the article, which is the learning about plastic and their evaluation as contribution to education for sustainable development. In this lesson, this researcher, it is my college from Germany. So she want to teach the student about ESD by taking the topic or issue about the plastic. So she designs chemistry learning by integrating some learning station. There are 9 learning stations, and this in this learning station, she provoke. So the student has a role as like an assessor. So they have to assess which plastic that is fit with they have to consider maybe if you want to use plastic in some material like from the pipe or something like that. So they have to assess which plastic that fit with the aspect of economy, ecological, and also with the social. It means that if you want to use some material from plastic, they have to like give a score, which is the best plastic that should consider about the aspect of economic, social, and also about the environment. And the second example, which is about the learning about bioethanol usage. In this learning, the student have to consider the teacher give the question to the student is bioethanol really a good example for alternative energy, or it could be give a more impact to the environment, as we know that when we want to produce bioethanol, we should also consider about the energy consumption when we want to produce ethanol, and also we have to consider about the impact of the waste from the bioethanol to the environment. And then the next example is about the learning cycle product or product life cycle analysis, which is this is the project from the school in Finland. So this learning is try to encourage students when they want to buy something like clothes, jeans, or CD or camera or something like that. They should think about the life cycle of these materials. So it's quite good example. So the student have to think if they want to buy something new like smartphone or something like that, they also should think about the next consequence if it is become the waste in the future. So this they learn about the life cycle of the material. And then the last example of ESD implementation in chemistry education in Indonesia is from my last research project. And then about the implementation in chemistry education in Indonesia? Actually, this part is portrayed my recent doctoral study. This study aims to integrate and reconstruct the indigenous science, or we can call it traditional science, and I want to join this indigenous knowledge to teach the student about education for sustainability in Indonesia. So I try to integrate how the traditional science can teach the student about sustainability. So this is my educational framework to incorporate indigenous science within the education to promote sustainability. So within this is research framework, I try to incorporate the perspective from the Western view on the phenomena of indigenous science with the perspective of indigenous view on the phenomena. For example, we start with the issue of pesticides. As you know that a lot of synthetic pesticide has a bad impact in the environment and society. So we try to connect with the knowledge of indigenous science in Indonesia. As you know, that some region in Indonesia still use the traditional pesticides from the plant extract, which is it is more sustainable actually compared to the synthetic pesticide. So from this 2 point of view, I try to give the student which one is the best way to cope with the problem of the pesticide. So we can learn from the perspective of Western view, and we also can learn from the perspective of the indigenous science or traditional science in Indonesia. And also, it's not about learning about science. I also include the aspect of cultural and philosophical aspect, which is include the local wisdom values in the society, and also I explore about the sustainability values that can be included in the science and chemistry education. Okay, for example, when we take the theme of agriculture, I take the example of the indigenous science or traditional science from the Baju tribe. So the Baju tribe use plants as biopesticide to control pest insect in their rice plantation. For example, they're using noni fruit, or we call it buah mengkudu, and also they use the peel of jeruk bali. As we know that the plant consists of the phytochemical that can kill the pest or can reduce the pest insect. And from the scientific concept, we can identify the phytochemical compound from the plants, and we can learn also about the chemistry or the science behind the related content. For example, about the organic compounds, pesticides, phytochemistry, and chemical analysis. And also we can other discipline of science like biology. When we learn about the plants, we also learn about the classification of plants, the bioactivity of compound, and bioassay, and the biodiversity. And the learning topic that we can introduce in the science and chemistry learning, like synthetic versus natural indigenous pesticide, biorational control of pest insects using indigenous materials. And from this topic, we can learn the sustainability aspect to be learned. This include learning about the risk and benefit analysis between synthetic and green pesticide. And also we can learn about green chemistry approach to extract and explore the natural pesticide compound from the plants. This is a recent publication about the implication in science learning. So in this research, I conduct some teaching intervention by introducing the student with the video, as you can see in the next slide. So in this teaching intervention, I introduce the context about the pros and cons of pesticide using a video. And after the student watch this video, I give some question or the issue or controversial issue question regarding the use of pesticide. And after that, I introduce another perspective from the Baduy tribe when they use natural pesticide. And then I also introduce the article about biopesticide from indigenous. And the main teaching interpretation is discussing about the issue and fostering the argumentation skill, which is I provoke the student with the simple question, like considering all the risks of synthetic pesticide, should we ban the synthetic pesticide and start using green pesticides such as indigenous biopesticides? So from this question, we encourage students to think about the effect of the pesticide, and we try to give another perspective from our indigenous science, how to cope with this problem. And from this teaching activity, we try to foster the argumentation skill of the student, how they can give the argumentation which is related with the issue, and how they can think critically to cope with this problem. And from this teaching interpretation at the last session, the student were given the question, the problem solving question about the aspect of chemistry. For example, I give the question about the molecule of DDT, or about the pesticide. You may be familiar with DDT, yes, in Indonesia. And then how what maybe this is the question: what makes DDT resistant to the environment degradation? Because so they have to think that using the information of this drug, the students should think that why this pesticide is very resistant, or this is really difficult to decompose this DDT in the environment, so it becomes very dangerous to the environment. And then the next question is also about how the student explain the chemical phenomena about the indigenous science itself. Maybe the question is about how the Baduy tribe make the pesticide, what is the chemical component behind the phytochemical in the plant extract or something like that. And then this is the response from the student. Actually, I use some feedback questionnaire, and our finding indicate that the student perception of the lesson was very positive, and the lesson was considered interesting and relevant to the student. As you can see in this word cloud analysis of the learning experience, both of the student, undergraduate chemistry student teachers and upper secondary school student, give the positive feedback by stating some word expression like interesting topic, open insight, environmental care, and other words. So this means that the learning can aid the student more insight and consider the learning is interesting to them. And then this is also the positive response from the student that they have the positive attitude toward the lesson. Maybe this is my last presentation. Thank you very much. I give it back to Bu Dina. Silakan Bu Dina.
Thank you very much, Pak Roby Zidni, for a very interesting and resourceful presentation. So now I open Q&A sessions. If there's questions from the participants. Okay.
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Okay, then. Okay, it's from
Nugraha. Yeah.
Okay, Nugraha, you can ask the questions
Nugraha.
directly to Pak Roby Zidni. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. To Sir Mr. Roby, I have a question for you. My question is, when the ESG purpose achieved, how the assessment to create next plan or the step to relate it towards the environment waste management, sir?
Okay, Pak Roby, would you like to answer the questions directly, or should we collect firstly the questions and then you, at the end, respond to the questions?
Okay, thank you for Pak Huda ya, for the very
Nugi,
insightful.
it's Nugi.
Oh, Pak siapa? Pak Nugi.
Nugi.
Nugraha, Pak.
Nugraha. Nugraha.
Pak Nugraha for insightful question. Okay, how to assess the student about the skill to assess the impact of of the pollution to the environment or something like that, right?
Yes, when the ESD purpose itself is when it's achieved.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Okay, as I already mentioned in the slide, maybe can show you. So when we want to teach about ESD in science or chemistry education, we should use a creative assessment actually, and the students should be uh, encouraged to use this evaluation. For example, from the learning about the effect of the plastic to the environment. So this researcher introduced like an assessment of the plastic. They should assess about the green chemistry aspect, the consumer and social interest, the economy and industry, and also about the material characteristic. So when we use this example of evaluation sheet, we also can teach the student how to become a scientist that they should assess about the effect of the plastic or other pollution to the environment. So it's depend on the topic and the learning situation, I think. So and this is maybe the same the one of the example of the evaluation. This is the good evaluation. We can also use maybe like role playing teaching when the student have to act like the environmentalist or something like that when they want to assess about the chemical waste in some region, maybe in some industry or something like that. But this is one of the example of the evaluation sheet that we can use. Maybe we can use another criteria if you want to assess another aspect of chemistry or chemical pollution in industrial or in some places, something like that. Pak.
Okay, Pak Nuki. So I hope that Pak Robi's response answer your questions. So we have another questions from Pak Ludi Sihalolo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss. I'm from student Mr. Rocky, and my question is how to make the management problem plastic waste in Indonesia with system in commonly or for future, based on your experience.
Okay, this is the good question. Based on my experience.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
And maybe we can take a look to the German government how they can handle the problem of the plastic. So it should be from the basic. So when we want to manage the plastic waste or the plastic pollution, we should start from the house actually. So the people in our government should be educated how to sort the trash in their home itself. This is the basic technique, and the second one is how the government make a strict regulation regarding this regulation, and it is can so the people must be aware of this regulation, and the people who don't want to follow the regulation, they should be punished with some money or something like that. And the second one is how to build the mine facility that can recycle the waste or the plastic pollution. As we can see from the Singapore, maybe you know that in Singapore they have a big facility that they try to burn the waste or plastic waste to produce the energy. I think that is the good example of the implementation of the recycle facilities regarding the trash or the plastic. And the second one, as I already mentioned before, is also include the aspect of technology, like the government should encourage the people to collect or to recycle the plastic, maybe by giving the facility to collect the bottle or something like that. Like in Germany, I think it is a good example that can be implemented, especially in Indonesia. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, Pak Robinson, yeah, we have to really learn a lot, yeah, from how the government of Germany implemented the regulation, especially from the process of recycling the waste, yeah, especially the plastic. Is there any questions from the participants?
Budina.
Oh yeah, Pak Udi, please. Because I also have a question. Well, actually, we only have 5 to 10 minutes left. Okay, that's okay.
All
Pak
right.
Udi, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Pak Robi, this is very very interesting idea about especially interdisciplinary curriculum in chemistry education, which is I think also very popular in our field in language education. My question is about the feasibility of implementing this interdisciplinary curriculum especially in our context in Unita. How feasible is it? Do you think there will be some kind of challenges during the implementations of your, because this is, I think, very good results of your doctoral study, which is really, which should really be encouraged to be implemented. So my question is about the feasibility in terms of its implementation in our context. So what do you think?
Based on my experience, if you want to implement this kind of model or ESD model in higher level of education or in university, is very feasible because the lecturer or the teacher in the university has their own strategy or their own. We have the free right to create our learning strategy compared to the maybe upper secondary school or something like that, which is the curriculum should be follow the curriculum from the government. But if you want to integrate this kind of model in high level like in university, it's really flexible, and it could be a good example, I think, because it can be also interdisciplinary. I also integrate this kind of learning strategy in my course. We call it green chemistry or environmental chemistry, and also it can be included in other course like ethnochemistry, because we have a special course which discuss about indigenous or traditional science from the chemistry aspect when we want to teach about chemistry to the student. So my answer is that it is really possible if you want to implement this learning strategy in the university level, but in upper secondary school it needs more effort, because we should also consider about the curriculum from the government. Maybe the right choice is to include this topic with the thematic lesson, maybe in the chemistry lesson. In the end of the semester, they must be have like a thematic lesson about maybe about water pollution or something like that, and then we can include this kind of model into science or chemistry learning.
Okay, thank you very much. Pak Udi's Pak Robi's explanations answer my questions. Actually, we have the same questions, Pak Udi. Yeah, about the possibility of integrating this model, this teaching learning models in senior high school level, because based on my experience, the teaching of chemistry in senior high school level was too conceptual. So how about this possibility? So Pak Robi's reading explanations just answered the questions. Yeah. Okay, but now we have one last questions from Zikri. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My name is Zikri. I'm Mr. Rocky Alvan student. So my question about West for PV module or photovoltaic module. We know that photovoltaic that have failure can be used anymore. So how to better managing the West PV cell in Indonesia? That's all. Thank you.
I think this is the question for Pak Rocky about photovoltaic research. So I don't have the answer for this question.
Yeah, that's out of our discussions for today. Yeah, sorry, Zikri.
I can help actually.
Yeah.
Help to by calling Pak Rocky and then he will answer.
I have a clue as well.
Or
Yeah,
Pak Metro, maybe.
actually, Paroki is here. Paroki is here, so we can talk to him. Okay, so
All
we just right in time. Yeah, so it's 3 past 11. So thank you very much. A great appreciations. We give a great appreciation for Bapak Robi Zidni, PhD, for sharing his research. It's a very interesting topic. So if I may conclude, or not conclude actually, take a lesson from Pak Robi Zidni explanations that our beloved planet is dying now, due to the destructive innovation and technology which harm our environment. And from this problem, honorable expert put forward the issues of sustainable development, and sustainable development issues and target can be and should be approached from various fields, including educations and particularly chemistry educations. For example, by integrating or by implementing the model proposed by John Stones, which integrates applied chemistry, sociochemistry, and critical reflective chemistry, which also gives space for explorations of indigenous science. Okay, I guess that's all. From me, thank you very much for the participants for attending the 6th research talk. So I hope we can see in the 7th research talk. Series. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you Pak Robi.
Ya, thank you
Thank you,
Pak
Pak
Robi,
Robi.
Pak Metro, Bu Dina.
Jaga kesehatan.
Siap.
That's the most.
Right, that's the most important. Yes.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Bu Solvarina.
Thank you Bu Solvarina. Thank you ya Bu. Thank you very much. Atur nuhun.
Sami-sami.
Ya, kita kolaborasi lagi ke depan Bu. Ya, Pak Robi ya. Thank you so
Siap,
much.
insya Allah.
Ya.